You're tuned in to WCHO Station 835, the premier source of music, programming, and moving drawings on the inner planets. I'm Nautilus, your video essayist. Radio dramas and stories have made quite a comeback in recent years with the rise of podcasts. Once a medium figured obsolete due to the rise of visual media, people come to podcasts for that sheer auditory experience. Modern series like Welcome to Night Vale, Wolf 359, The Magnus Archives, and The Edge of Sleep have used podcasts as an evolution of the traditional radio dramas of the 1920s. And while all these series are great, there's one that I feel uses its medium of an audio drama and makes it feel fresh and engaging that I haven't heard many talk about: Pulp Musicals. As you might have gathered from my recent uploads, I've gotten into Team Star Kids Playworks, and more specifically, their Hatchetfield series. I found out about Pulp Musicals, which I'll just be calling Pulp from here on out, through this community, as the creator and composer Matt Dahan is also a major composer and arranger at Star Kid as well. But what is a pulp musical? Well, let's let the narrator explain.
They are full musicals, written with the energy of a pulp fiction, each taking only 2 months to write in its entirety. They follow in the footsteps of the radio dramas that came before them, existing purely of audio waves and brainwaves.
Thank you, disembodied voice of Matt Dahan. I know I can always count on you. Most of the time. But let's not worry about that now. Beginning production in 2021 with their first album, The Great Moon Hoax, Pulp is set in the 19th century and follows the story of Rose and Samuel Stratford as they attempt to save the failing newspaper company Samuel works at, the New York Sun, by publishing a story about recent astronomical discoveries by Sir John Herschel. Turns out, there's life on the moon. There's just one problem. These stories are fake, and unbeknownst to them, this one event will kickstart a whirlwind adventure involving science, globe-trotting journeys, new friends, new enemies, the horrors, the magic of imagination, and actual magic. And what an adventure it's been. This is such a smartly constructed, fun time that I devoured upon first discovering. And the fact that it's not talked about as widely as other projects in the
Star Can Recverse,
as well as just other podcasts in general, is a darn shame. That's why today, I'm going to be telling you all about why Pulp Musicals is great, and you should give it a try. Please forgive me, this is the second time I've made a video essay. The way the story of Pulp is crafted and derived from other mediums is really interesting, and ties into its themes as well. It draws direct inspiration from historical events and figures, as well as fictional stories, such as the actual Great Moon Hoax of 1835, the real-life astronomer, Sir John Herschel, the short story The Brick Moon, written in 1869, and the incident regarding the ship Ellen Austin in 1881. These stories and events are recontextualized in a sort of alternate history that our characters go through. But you don't have to be a history buff to enjoy Pulp. The story itself stands on its own, and these events naturally integrate into the escapades our characters face. In utilizing the points in the past that blur the line between reality and fiction, Pulp reinforces its themes of how the strength of the human imagination can affect reality in its own work, while capturing the source material sci-fi pulp fiction would often resemble. The Pulp episodes feel like an old book or record you found in the back of a vintage bookstore, updated with the tact and pacing of the modern day, due in no small part to Jackie Franco's gorgeous illustrations. The fact that the characters can go from just writing about space to potentially going to space in the 19th century is surprising, but fitting, and as the story ramps up, it feels like a natural progression. But that's not to say we only have action. The emotional journeys these characters have gone on so far are palpable. I guess you could say, pulpable? Anyway, let's talk about those characters. Also, just to let you know, I'm going to be getting into some minor spoilers for the first episode. If you want to go in blind, stop here and go listen for yourself. If you're fine with a little being spoiled about the characters and plot, go on ahead. strong duo in this story are the Stratford Twins, Samuel and Rose. Played wonderfully by James Tolbert and Mariah Rose Faith Casillas, these two nerds are our hook into this world, being the ones who write the hoax and establish their initial desires throughout the first episode. Originally immigrating to New York as kids, they used stories and their imaginations to get through their fears of the future, and stories have become their tools to make their way in the world. Rose is a smart, impulsive woman who loves learning all she can about space and longs to do more than work at their family's paper stand. She also may have a crush on the astronomer John Herschel.
She's a big fan
of his mind.
Okay.
Samuel is a thoughtful, imaginative young man with a pencil who works at a failing upstart newspaper. His potential, and the potential of the stories he and Rose have written, are being crushed by his boss, the egotistical blowhard Chester Thomas, who perpetuates the belief that the news is just the news, and that the sun revolves around planet Earth.
The sun doesn't revolve around the earth.
The one from New York does.
How could printing fiction alongside news possibly save them? The answer is apparently when the fiction is seen as real and it makes them a lot of money. The idea of publishing the hoax gives us an interesting dichotomy with our two leads, where the decision they make has good intentions, and it's understandable, but it's not exactly good, and the narrative knows this. Turns out, when you publish a piece saying that there's life on the moon, it has lasting consequences on people around you. The Stratfords grappling with their decision in the aftermath of the hoax, and seeing how and where fiction should interact with others, is really cool to see. The other protagonists, antagonists, and supporting cast are all equally as fascinating. From Margaret Cavendish, a wealthy woman with a mysterious past who cares and believes deeply in the hoax, voiced by the incredible Natalie Urena, to the Stratford's friend, Benjamin Park, the Sun's anxious and underappreciated editor, voiced by Agent Kurt Mega, who also plays the John Herschel. The whole cast is stacked and written well. But in a sung-through musical like this one, the characters can only go so far without good songs. Fortunately for us, all the songs are bangers! You've been getting a taste of what the music's been like through the background instrumentals in this video, but let me reiterate that the songs are really good. Matt Dahan has shown his melodic chops being part of the backing band at StarKid and composing his own musical Starry, but they really shine here. First and foremost, the songs are catchy and wonderful in many different shades. They run the gamut from Broadway ballads to jazzy little numbers to even sea shanties in later episodes, so you will not get bored. I listen to so many of these in my car. The multi-layered nature of the music helps convey the tone and atmosphere of scenes and characters, and the structure of the lyrics are clear and smartly written for the most part. In this audio format, the songs naturally have to do a lot of heavy lifting, and Dahan uses tempo and key to convey different emotions of events. Now, I'm not a musical expert, but I can key in when songs feel different. Take the opening number of The Great Moon Hoax, Planet Earth 1835. It starts off bright, with a steady rhythm, and in a major key, to reflect the dreaming, passionate outlook of Samuel Stratford.
Planet Earth needs something different.
Samuel Stratford's flipping through a notebook. Earnest, anxious, full of passion. Samuel wants to show his boss.
On the other hand, in the same song, we have Chester Thomas's motif. This portion of the song is in a minor key. It starts off with some nervous flutes before coming in with a slightly offbeat march, supplementing the lyrics that show he's a figure that commands authority, but also is paranoid about the sun's future.
Chester Thomas, owner of the New York Sun, opens his door and stares at everyone. Standing tall as he projects power as he puffs his chest, but he's nervous as the rest.
The music is able to paint a picture in your head and inspire your own imagination, which fits perfectly. And speaking of motifs, leitmotifs are scattered all across Pulp. I mean, I could just make a video about all the leitmotifs in Pulp itself. If you're not a music nerd, or haven't seen a Sideways video, A leitmotif is a set of musical notes or a musical theme that signifies a character or an event, and can help inform the listener, even subconsciously. Going back to Samuel for a moment, his leitmotif first shows up in Planet Earth 1835.
Young man with a pencil, immigrant son with a heart made of gold. Young man with potential, imagination, 27 years old.
That young man with a pencil melody shows up in songs where Samuel is the focus or when he's contemplating things. It's not too overt to distract from the main song, but rather melds in with the rest of the music to make a cohesive sounding narrative.
I was afraid to begin. How much nerve would it take to convert our passion to action? Samuel.
It really proves how the medium in audio musical is played to its advantage. Other times, a leitmotif can be shown to foreshadow certain elements. For example, songs involving Margaret Cavendish have a certain pattern of notes outside the melody of the songs we're hearing.
I was told you were the one who had access to Herschel's journal.
Yes, me and my sister Rose. It's really very exciting.
I would like to see it. I would like to read it. I would like to know how it ends. Tell me how it ends.
I'm sorry, Miss Cavendish. I cannot show you the journal.
I don't cry because I'm born. I don't cry because I'm scared.
This leitmotif is alluding to a future song, and establishes itself as part of Margaret's quest to unravel her own mysteries, which ultimately leads to, well, you're gonna have to listen to find out. To sum everything up, if you like meticulously crafted musicals, things both whimsical and dark, history and fantasy, if you're a Star Kid fan, if you're a Shipwreck fan, if you're a podcast fan, please go try out Pulp Musicals for yourself. You can listen to all the episodes on Spotify or buy the albums on Apple Music. If you want some supplementary content, there are also transmissions on Pulp's YouTube that provide insight into the plot of each episode and the inspirations for episodes too. I'll link both of these in the description. 3 episodes are currently out, with a 4th one on the way, set to premiere on September 7th of this year. I could not be more excited, and I want to share that excitement with more people. That's all for today's broadcast, listeners. Thanks for tuning in this far if you have. Tell me in the comments if you decide to check out Pulp and tell me what you think. And if you do already listen to Pulp, tell me what you like about it. A big shout out to everyone who helped me with this video, and to Jackalope and KME Sons for letting me use their art. I'll link their stuff down in the description as well. This has been Nautilus with the WCHO Station 835, reminding you not to be scared of the dark. That's where the dreaming starts.